your minds. I step up to the first booth. A cold computerized voice rings out. Please place your thumb on the designated area to initiate thermal recognition. Before I have any time to hesitate, I reach out and press down firmly. Thank you, Ethan Nova. Thermal recognition confirmed. Please proceed. I step out of the first booth and head to the second where the same cold voice greets me. Please sign and print on the dotted line while stating your name allowed to initiate consent recognition. My hand shakes as I reach for the pen and with a trembling voice I manage to speak. Thank you, Ethan Nova. Verbal and written consent confirmed. Please proceed. The shaking has radiated down to my knees now and I wobble out of the second booth, trying hard not to lose my resolve, my sense of gratefulness. Please face forward and look straight ahead to initiate retinal recognition. I raise my chin until I'm at eye level with the scanner before me. I can see my reflection in the screen. I take a deep breath and brace myself to stop the shaking. This is it, I think to myself. There's no turning back now. But just as the last thought crosses my mind, I catch a streak of blonde hair out of the corner of my eye. I turn to look, but the identification booth has already deployed a mechanism designed to keep my head still in order for the retinal scanner to function properly. I'm in full panic mode now. I know the woman I'm straining to look at is the mother of the child I killed, but what I can't seem to process is the little boy standing next to her, alive and well. I try to force the mechanism off, but I'm locked in tight. My mind is racing and I can't make sense of any of this, but all I can think of now is apologizing to that woman and her son. Thank you, Ethan Nova. Retinal scan confirmed. All checkpoints confirmed. Please proceed to your final destination. No, this can't be happening. Not now, not when there are so many unanswered questions. Once the last identification booth is cleared, its function automatically changes and the entire structure shifts to become a moving vehicle. Much like the shuttle I was ordered to drive at Jerry's command, designed to drive its user directly where they need to go. The scanner screen folds down over me, newly formed to create a soundproof windshield. I scream and yell and kick and claw, but once I'm buckled in and forced back into my seat, I know there's no getting out of this nightmare now. Welcome to Silver Lining Starport. Your suicide is important to us. Please listen carefully as we guide you through your final moments. Our goal is to send our clients on a humane and painless journey. First, you will be placed inside our glass oxygen chambers where you will find your suits. You may wear these suits over your funeral attire. Once you are properly fitted, your oxygen chambers will attach to one another so that no one will feel alone. After all passenger chambers are attached, you will be placed onto a railway which will begin to move you through a beautiful projected landscape of the ancient world. As you proceed towards the end of the track, your oxygen will slowly deplete. You will feel a lightheadedness that will ease you into restful unconsciousness. The voice echoing through the sterile white walls was unlike the computerized voice from the identification booths in that it was entirely human, but the coldness of the recording felt the same. It sent chills down my spine just as the anger of seeing those two alive back at the terminal sent blood boiling through my veins. Jerry Augustine owed me an explanation he knew I was never going to get. On my way here, I managed to piece the story together. Augustine had lied to me about the mother's claims to destroy his company. And how could she have possibly tried me for a murder that I never committed? Jerry, being the owner and captain of this entire vessel, was the wealthiest man alive. If he had the capabilities to create new life in secrecy, surely he had the money to heal and mend a broken natural born in secrecy as well. And with such abundant wealth, He could bribe a struggling mother with enough hush money to set her and her son up for life. My love for Jerry, my longing to be accepted as a human being and not some petri dish pet, and my overwhelming grief had all made me blind to the truth. And now that I had a reason to live again, I found myself stuck in an impossible situation. Seething, I moved onto the platform and made my way into the glass chamber. To my astonishment, there was a young woman seated next to me, cheerfully adjusting her suit and buckling herself in. She glanced over at me and offered to help me with my helmet. "Why do you want to die?" I asked her point blank. It hit me one day that I'll never live long enough to touch ground. Ever since I was a little girl, I've always longed to live like the ancients, to see what they've seen. And then I saw an advertisement for this place, and used my college funds to buy myself a one-way ticket. She responded so bluntly, in such a bubbly tone, that I was stunned into silence, until she asked me the same. "I was sent here against my will." I continued on as her smile morphed into a look of disbelief. "Hey, can I ask you a morbid question?" "This is a pretty morbid situation, go ahead." "When you lose consciousness, can I, siphon off what's left of your oxygen? I gotta get out of here, alive." She grinned. "Let this be my final act of kindness, before I go into the bold unknown." "Thank you," I said, and I couldn't express how much I meant that. I couldn't express how much I wanted this kind-hearted natural-born to live either. So I just sat there, contemplating my next move. Finally, the chambers connected like blocks and the tram started to travel forward. I couldn't be sure, but I assumed each helmet held enough oxygen to keep its wearer alive until the very end of the projection. And as I looked behind me, I noticed we were the very last to connect. I was so flustered when I got here that I hadn't thought to count the number of chambers and passengers. It was strange being able to see each other through the glass. Surely designed to bring comfort to those that boarded alone, the sight of so many people did little more than turn my stomach inside out. A soft melody rose into the atmosphere as the projections of ancient Earth spread across the white walls, painting them with an intangible beauty. I couldn't help but watch as they passed by, momentarily hypnotized by such breathtaking scenery. We had tried to replicate all that Earth had to offer, but everything always withered as quickly as it had bloomed. I was the first true success. And once I made it out of here, I would slowly but surely teach myself to be proud of that fact. Far up toward the front, echoed gasps could be heard through the helmets of passengers as the first natural-born passed away. Some clapped, some cried. But I sat stone still. The trauma of seeing that little boy's lifeless body crushed beneath the weight of my mistake came rushing back to me. My breathing came in ragged gasps, and I knew if I didn't rein in this panic attack soon, I would be the next to run out of oxygen. The girl next to me watched with motherly concern, before taking her helmet off and attaching the oxygen supply to my own. This obscures my vision too much. I don't want to miss a single second of. As my breathing slowed in response to the fresh flow of oxygen, hers quickened until she drew one last sharp gasp and drooped down in her seat. Blood trickled from her nose and mouth due to the sudden impact of pressure, and to my horror the other passengers clapped in celebration as her body crumpled into mine. Overtaken by primal fear I thought I was incapable of feeling, I jumped to my feet and started pounding on the glass walls. Several passengers ahead of me looked on in horror and wonder before an old man stood up and mimicked my motions from the other side of his chamber. He wasn't trying to escape, he was only trying to help free me. I knew this because his wife stood with him a moment later, taking one hand gingerly in her own while